I went live since he wasn't here.
That was the best time to go
What's the
live.
topic?
Exactly.
No one told me the topic.
Well, we are live. So, hold on. So, it's Stone Guy 223. We are live. Sorry for the confusion. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And I was gonna see if that Rich guy was gonna come on from what was the name of his company?
Red Fork Ammo.
Yeah. He wanted to get into the whole open carry again.
No one told me the topic.
Uh,
Again, God damn it.
yeah, you got your. Jesus, you think you've done this before, Yankee?
Well, I fuck up every entry to everyone I do, so I got to make sure to fuck up the entry for everybody else too.
But anyway, so tonight we've got Aaron. How you pronounce your last name? Krieger?
That's correct, sir.
Aaron Krieger from WeLikeShooting.com.
Like Krieger from Archer.
Yeah, exactly. He's my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Real doctor, by the way.
and we got the Yankee Marshal and the Tack Daddy, who is currently walking his dog.
Which
That's
is
a
code
euphemism.
for
That is a
something.
euphemism, just so you know.
Right, right. But anyway, so I don't know. Hopefully, if Rich can't make it in, we'll talk about something else. But he was adamant about the whole open carry thing. But I'm sure between the couple of us here and the others that are coming, we'll figure out something. But I'd like to take a minute first and just give Aaron the floor and let him talk about We Like Shooting. Kind of what inspired you when you guys formed up? How many of you are there? And go
All
from
right.
there.
That's a great question. What we are is we review guns, gears, and gadgets. A lot like there's several people out there who do that. But what's nice is we have people who are either novices or professionals. We have 3 former military people on our staff. One just retired today after 25 years of service in the Navy, so congratulations, Lil Chantilly from HeelsandHandguns.com. Um, we have people who are do-it-yourselves. We have a guy who put a pistol grip on a Mosin, which is pretty hilarious. Most of our guys are range officers. We like to use products practically and present them humorously to people. We have a weekly show, the We Like Shooting podcast, which can be found at WeLikeShootingPodcast.com. It's just we like to have fun. I mean, that's the key. We like to entertain people. You know, you can show someone how to shoot a gun so many times, but show someone shooting a gun while taking a crap at the same time is pretty impressive. You know, we've had some great guests on the show. We've had some okay guests like the Yankee Marshal. We've had
Joe?
we've had the Tack Daddy on there, and we're hoping to have you on soon. So I mean, it's we've done some great things. I mean, you definitely check it out. We have some great sponsors these days, which are really supportive. And one of the greatest things about it is our show is crowd sponsored. So our listeners actually help support the show by funding it, which is really impressive. It just shows you the dedication and loyalty, as well as the just the whole community of gun users and gun owners.
And what time did you say again?
Oh my God, this is the downside. Okay, so if you want to watch the show live, unedited, I'm in Michigan, and we start recording at 11:30 at night on Wednesdays. But you can catch the show anytime, an edited version on the podcast, and it's also on the We Like Shooting YouTube page if you want to watch the unedited version.
I just don't like this whole idea of mixing firearms and humor. I don't think they go together.
And you might like it. We have a drinking game during the show. It's pretty impressive.
Well, unless it's Diet Orange Soda, I won't be involved. I don't drink.
Sometimes if that's what it takes. If that's what you like, your sun kissed. We respect that. I'm a Michigan guy, so we're huge on Fago. I don't know if you have Fago where you're at.
No,
Nah,
we
I've
don't.
never even heard of that. What is
Are
that?
you kidding me? Fago. Fago has one of the best sodas, flavored sodas out there. I mean, they have Red Pop, obviously,
I
grape
like
soda,
I like
orange,
Meat Pie better.
but we have what's known as Rock and Rye, which is by far the best soda in the world. It's a mixture of their Red Pop and cream soda and Coke, and it's like actually drinking God's spit. It's just that amazing. Just think about that. I've just blown your minds.
That's
that's
probably
what I've
the worst analogy I've ever heard in my life.
seen. Well, you know what? If God spit on you, I bet you'd be like, "Oh my God," right?
Oh my God, what the fuck did you spit on me?
But you know, it's better than him shitting on you. Because let me tell you, I've seen that. I've eaten food that's like, did God just shit this out? Because it is awful. But yeah, no, it's coming from the other end is perfect stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, but the We Like Shooting show it's funny, and we have a good chemistry and a good group of guys and a girl, and it's great. It's great stuff.
And so, where do you fit in? What's your role in that?
I am what we refer to as the marketing guy, as well as the former director of logistics for We Like Shooting. I used to do all the shipping we'd get our T&E stuff in, and I would ship it out to everybody. However, it seemed that I would put the wrong names on the boxes, so I'm no longer allowed to do the shipping. Because someone would ask for a jacket extra large, and someone would ask for a woman's jacket, petite, and I'd get those two mixed up and send them to the wrong people, which would incur more cost of shipping. So they just decided it's not really a good place for me to be. And this is what I always say: don't do your job super well, because if you do your job super well, you'll never move up. They don't want to refill that. Like, that guy does a great job. Why would we want to move him out of that spot? Don't do a good job. If you're listening to this right now, do a terrible job. They're going to move you out of that position and move you up. They're like, obviously, he's management. He's terrible.
Contradictory to what everybody thinks.
Exactly.
Do a shitty job, and it'll be more
you will be rewarded.
Right.
Yeah. It's like that's how government works. That's all I can see there.
That's awesome. And so I understand you guys were also just mentioned in Fox News article, so you're pretty much famous now, right?
We are internet famous, yeah. If Fox News calls us, as a source, we must be something. I'm really impressed. Yeah, it was they approached us and they asked us what our opinion was on some bulletproof gear, and we were happy to oblige. We have a great review. Nick Rohde, formerly of Rohde Outdoors and Rohde Rhode Island. He did a great review on a bulletproof vest by Safeguard, I believe, or something like that. And it's I mean, he blew the crap out of it. So and he did it in depth. It was really good. So yeah, if it's on our channel if you want to check that out for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we also we're really pushing our PSA in regards to dolphins. I'm not sure if a lot of people or your listeners are aware. But dolphins are one of the few mammals besides humans that will rape someone. So if you go to welikeshooting.com/dolphins, you'll see our PSA in regards to our concern and our about dolphins, because it is a serious thing. If
I think it's only fair, because I'd rape a dolphin in a minute if I was given the chance, so I expect it.
I mean, they do have that blowhole. It's like she was dressed. The way she was dressed. She was asking for it, but. Dolphins will rape a person, drag them down, and put them in rape caves. There are rape caves everywhere on the coast. Dolphins. It's an epidemic. I'm scared. I don't even swim in the ocean because of it. Jellyfish and dolphins. Those are the two things that keep me out of the ocean.
So we're trying to get funding together to eliminate dolphins.
The rape
is a stake.
They're a problem.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, worst case scenario, we can always just have them neutered or something. Just dump gallons and gallons of saltpeter in the water. That should help us out. Anything that we can do to keep dolphins from raping people. You know what? But it's not as bad as killer whales, which we haven't even discussed on the show yet. Killer whales are just like the dicks of the ocean. They go around and just beat everyone up and just dicks. Complete dicks.
I believe they're the greatest animal on the planet.
Which one?
The killer whale, the Shamu, big Shamu fan.
Shamu, yeah, Shamus are terrible. Free Willy, no, fuck that.
We had Keiko lived here locally in Oregon.
Imagine
Keiko, where Free Willy is from, and then I remember we went to a restaurant, an ice cream parlor over in Portland, and they make the waitresses wear these black outfits with these white tuxedo shirts. And the waitress
did they also dance on poles for you? Just out of curiosity.
Keiko, so I felt sorry for her.
Yeah, I would too.
Think about, hold on real quick, just the Shamu thing. You're talking about an animal that is the ultimate predator. It can beat anything. It can beat great whites or red, or it can travel all over the entire world, do whatever the fuck it wants in this huge expanse.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see it come downtown Brooklyn and things.
And then you put it in a bathtub and give it feeding time, and then oops, it ate a trainer. No shit.
You know what though? Yeah, it's not. That's not what bothers me. I saw this video where this killer whales, a pack of them, because they're like wolves. There's like a pack of them came up to a blue whale, a pod. Thank you. Yeah, of a blue whale, and it's a baby blue whale, and they walked up and they like killed the baby blue whale and just ate the fins and swam away. I mean, like you left all that thing there. You know, it's just a little baby.
Dude,
Fuck you, Shamu.
That's a huge way that I judge the cuntiness of animal. Is would it eat your baby? You know,
Well,
if you just
yeah.
left it there, would it eat your baby? That is a great way to figure out if an animal is a cunt or not.
Exactly.
Eat your baby.
I've seen it. Dingoes are terrible at that. Dingoes are the biggest cunts on land, I guess.
Well, that's the same thing. What was it Siegfried and Roy with the lion or
Exactly.
ate
Baby.
the?
Yeah, that's like rubbing gasoline on yourself and smoking cigarettes when you're dealing with lions. Why would you do
I
that?
hope that tiger. All I know is after that tiger ate him, I hope it got tested.
That's brutal.
I go again. There's a few comedians that have talked about it in the past, but as well. But you're talking about a tiger. Once again, an animal that walks around, kills things with its face for dinner, and then you put it behind a cage, and then the moment that the child falls in. Yeah, well, again, but they do kill whatever they're going to eat with their face.
So they kill big things. They don't like eat mice. They kill like
bet they
bugs.
eat 'em.
Right, exactly. There'll be three of them, and they'll be like, "Yo, look at the size of the meat on that. We can kill that. Let's kill it." Then they kill it and eat it, and then you put it behind a glass cage, or in one of those things where there's a moat and a kid falls in, and the one again, it was Cat Williams. He literally was like imitating the lion. He was like, "This is not a drill." And and he pounced on him right away. What else would you do? That is the instinct of the animal. It drives again. I'm becoming more anti-zoo all the time. I haven't even seen that Blackfish video, but I heard a long, extensive interview with one of the workers from that place, and just the way that they treat these animals, and the fact that it's again Shamu, and everyone comes in and everyone buys the doll and goes home, and it's just to me it's deplorable.
You know what's terrible too?
For a long time. I mean, the only thing I see positive about zoos are breeding programs for endangered animals and awareness for animals. Sometimes the zoo can promote awareness in a young generation that they wouldn't have otherwise. So it's almost worth sacrificing one or two animals to create this affinity for that animal in a younger generation. But I'm still not positive on zoos. But that whole when a lion eats a trainer, I'm like, you don't go, oh my God, that's horrible, that lion did that. I'm like, that's what lions do. They eat you if you give them a chance. So
Right. What's worse than that though are primates, man. Like a gorilla rips off a person's face. That's terrible. I mean, why? First of all, why would you have a monkey? Monkeys are nasty things. All they do is throw feces and jerk off.
yeah, if your chimpanzee bites your genitals off, that's kind of part of owning a chimpanzee. You should have expected it.
Right, and that's kind of why I would want one in the first place, to put my genitals near his face. But beyond that, it's got like a giant retard strength. What? Monkeys are scary. Don't put a diaper on it and put it near me. It's not a person. I'm just throwing that out there.
Before the places where they have these little monkeys that like harass you when you're just sitting there trying to eat your lunch, and they're scary. So I can imagine, chimpanzees wanting your sandwich.
What's up, Tad?
Exactly.
You signed up for this one tonight, this animal talk?
Well, I was letting it ride, whatever.
Kind of entertaining.
Well, we're like 15 minutes into it, and he hasn't told us a topic yet, so
Said one thing about
when animals
guns.
attack. Damn, nature is scary.
I'm going to start asking people if this looks infected in a minute if he doesn't.
All right, what do you think about
Rich fucked me up because Rich was supposed to come in here and stir up the whole conversation about open carry, but he bailed. So,
What's funny? What's funny that how Rich is supports open carry, as long as it's not a long rifle. That's Rich's stance. I'll be Rich tonight. Hang on.
you need a massive beard growth.
I got something here. Here we go. I got some tissue here. Oh, I'm pushing my voice because he sounds kind of gruff. Oh, you can have a gun. But just don't carry a long gun. There. Topic's over, man.
There it is. No, I, I guess you could take that animal topic and kind of throw out a scenario if you would use your weapon on an animal that was attacking you.
I'd use a weapon on an animal that wasn't attacking me. I don't like animals. Cats are the only thing I like. Cats are cool.
I did threaten once, tell a guy that if his dog, we hadn't been able to get his dog off of the other dog, I would have had to shoot his dog.
Cats are in the gray area for me on the cunt test because I believe that some feral cats would eat your baby.
I don't like cats because they're not dogs.
You know what would be scary, speaking of cats? What if cats could fly? That would be the worst thing. All right, let's change that. What animal would be terrible that could fly? Just flying sharks? Sharknado. That'd be terrible. But just a flying shark would be pretty bad.
I think
Right.
about things like if animals were different sizes. Can you imagine if bees
House
were the
cats
sizes
do
of
this
cats?
Oof.
Flying
Or
bees.
cats the size of horses. You could ride them.
If cats
even
were the
let you?
size of horses and they were friendly like a cat is and didn't kill you like a tiger does, that would be awesome.
Wouldn't
Well, cats are only friendly because they're smaller than us.
it? Yeah.
If they were bigger than us, they wouldn't be friendly anymore.
What about mice? Mice are kind of cute. You know, little mice. The size of dogs. Would they just be rats then?
Exactly.
Yeah.
These
Or-
giant man-eating rats is what they'd be at that stage.
It would be kind of scary, wouldn't it? What about what's the cutest thing you can think of and just make it scary big?
Me, I'm the cutest thing. Okay.
You are. Red pandas, man. Red pandas are the cutest animals ever. I would love a red panda as a pet.
Enormous man-sized geckos.
Oh, that'd be so. Well, like alligators?
Like the kind that talk with the accent.
Oh, I would use my gun on that. I think that would be justified.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God, think of this. What if your dog? If you have a pet, what if your pet could talk? The shit you've done in front of
it's
it.
gonna be because all my dogs would talk about is eating cat shit and wanting to go outside.
I saw what you did there. I know what website you saw. You know, it'd be like, okay, this thing's gonna die. Sorry, son, your dog went to the farm.
I do wish
I've
that
actually got a video that I've never edited yet, where I've got this tinfoil hat on my bulldog, and the caption is basically because your dog knows your secrets too. So if they could talk, you'd have to go another step further. You'd have to ensure their silence.
Yeah, exactly.
as a huge dog lover, I think that Labrador retrievers the size of like a full-grown rat, like maybe completely miniaturized, but still same personality. Yeah, same personality, same lovingness, same ability to go catch a ball and fetch it and bring it to you 100 times. All that stuff, like pure
In other words,
lab.
you want a
personality.
Labrador. So in other words, you want a Labrador that has shrunk down to your proportionate size.
Yes.
Like a
does not
chihuahua.
drag me down
Like
the
a
street.
Chihuahua, wouldn't it?
Wants a min pin.
What about a tick the size of a cat? That would be nasty.
That'd be
Stick
scary.
his head in you?
Insects
Yeah.
should not be that large.
That'd be potentially deadly right there.
Right,
You ever seen,
right.
you ever seen camel spiders?
It'd also
Yes.
be very hard. They have exoskeletons, so they can't
Now,
really-
Now, in all seriousness, the camel spiders, and we've seen pictures from Iraq and
yeah,
Afghanistan.
most of those are doctored.
So they're not as fucking big as like they show. Like they look like fucking like small dogs. I mean, are they that big?
No, they're not that big. They're like this big usually, but they use these pictures where they use angles and stuff to make them look like they're like.
Wait.
big. Yeah.
See, I don't care if they're that big or
Yeah,
this
I don't care if it's frisbee or trash can size.
man.
Either way.
Yeah. You know what? The only animal that really freaks me out though is the chupacabra. You know.
Now, is that real?
That's racist. Is what that is.
Hey, you know what? We're all a little bit
They're only
racist.
afraid of him because he's Mexican.
We're all a little bit racist and we're all a little bit gay. Okay.
You know about the jackalope?
I've ridden one. I've ridden a horse-sized
We didn't
jackalope.
want-
I've shot one. But yeah.
We used to
I
have a
had-
stuffed one in Colorado. When we lived in Colorado, we did have a stuffed one because you can buy them there. And all it is a rabbit with antlers.
Did you lure the jackalope onto your front lawn with a baby bottle like you did that baby deer before you shot it?
In the face.
No, but
Yeah.
we definitely convinced tourist girls that it was a real animal. The other thing that we used to convince them of is the snow snake. Because you know how sometimes like after the snow settles, it looks like there's little snake marks like that they've been crawling around. Anyway,
Yeah, I know exactly what
jackalopes
you
and
mean.
snow snakes.
All right, so let's get into some real topics here. What is anybody following this whole Iraq thing?
Yeah,
It's a country,
Iraq,
complete
right?
Iran.
clusterfuck. It's going to turn
Yeah,
into
we
three
can't
different
not follow.
sections. It's going to be basically three, not states, but three different sectors ruled by the Kurds, the Sunnis, and the Shiites, and it's going to be chaos. And
Well, what do we
shouldn't be
think
anywhere
about
near it.
the? I mean, you know, initially they told us to leave them alone, get the fuck out, and now they're calling for airstrikes. They want us to come help them out again. So,
I agree with Petraeus. Stay the fuck out of it.
well, that's the thing. Do you think Obama will heed those warnings, or do you think he's going to use this as a
Well,
platform
I
to
think if
make
they
a?
do use airstrikes, they'll only use airstrikes when there are mounting forces threatening civilian populations. Otherwise, I don't think they will, because all the major people like Petraeus, everyone, they all are pretty much in agreement. Even Glenn Beck was agreeing that stay the fuck out of it. If we intervene now, it doesn't look like it's even worse than nation building. It's not. We're no longer just nation building. If we intervene now, it's like we're taking sides in a religious battle.
Okay, but
That's
look
how,
at it like this, and not to sound like conspiracy theorist. That's a word I just made up, by the way.
Ooh, no, please do.
But there's a what's the my bro? No, I'm not. You know what? My brother. He's a great guy. But
doesn't sound like much of a conspiracy.
well, hang on. It gets there. It gets there. He thinks everyone should own a gun. He's okay with that, but he feels that no one should have ammo for that gun. And if you go to war every what we've been at war for 10 years now straight, almost 11. What's the one thing that every military needs? Ammo. So let's just keep shipping all of our ammo away from the people, because who gets priority when it comes to ammo is the military, then law enforcement, and then for some reason the post office. I don't understand that one. Um, there's none left for us. So that's one way to do gun control, is to constantly have wars. Keep surpluses at a low. I'm just throwing it out there.
This is the
Well,
conspiracy
it's
that your brother believes?
No. My point is, my brother, the reason why I brought him up is because he's okay with people having guns. He just doesn't believe people should have ammo.
Well, that's silliness. That's like people should
It's-
have cars but no gas. Whatever.
Well,
dude.
speaking of no gas, that's gonna that whole that area being as unstable as it is. You think that's gonna affect gas prices? I mean, the barrel's already up over $100 a barrel. I think we're gonna see $5 gas before too long.
I have gas, and it didn't cost me $5. But it is ridiculous, the cost of gas. But you gotta also think that if you actually looked at the true price of gas, we should be paying like $10 a gallon.
But now, do you think are we going to get goaded into another Afghanistan with this whole situation? Because the problem I have, just with Afghanistan, even from an outsider looking in, and then speaking with actual soldiers, buddies that I know that have been over there, is the fact that what are we at? 12 years now over there, something like that. I mean, as soon as we leave, that fucking country is going to go back to the way it was before we got there.
Again and again and again.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, we've rebuilt some of their bazaars. We've done some infrastructure with schools and shit like that. We've spent a lot of money, but as soon as we leave, it's going to go back to the way it was.
We haven't rebuilt nearly what we burnt down. So let's not pretend like we're building them, building bridges to freedom for everybody. But let's also remember one thing. We say these things flippantly, like we've been at war there's no declaration of war. We are not at war. You cannot have war with an ideology. You can't have a war on poverty. You can't have a war on terrorism. You can't have a war on drugs. You can have a war on Canada, but you can't have wars
And we
on
need to, by the way.
ideologies. You cannot do that. It
Well,
doesn't-
I mean, I may have said war, but we all know, what are they calling it? A military
Just a conflict.
conflict.
Let's talk about the fact that we continue to try to help countries that hate us. How about that?
Well, it's just trying to
Well,
buy
if we
people.
ever
Is
actually
what
try
it
to
is.
help a country, that'd be great. But we don't try to help countries. We protect our interests.
Right, we try to own exactly.
Well, and that's the problem. We've lost a ton of men and women, soldiers, foreign and domestic, for what? Like I said, as soon as we leave, it's
Oh, there's a
it's all
lot
for
of
naught.
in the right hands. You got to remember when you talk about Iraq and Afghanistan and all these conflicts, people act like, well, what do we get out of it? Well, a small percentage of people got a lot out of it. Contractors, security contractors, equipment contractors, warmongers, all these people that profit off of war. The whole war machine made a fortune off these wars. They're continuing to make fortunes off these wars. And you got to remember, these are wars where we didn't spend piddly amounts of money. We're talking wars where billions of dollars in cash disappeared at a time and went into people's pockets. So it's been a huge profit maker for a lot
It's
of
called the
people.
military-industrial complex. It's designed to make money, correct?
Well, it's not even the military-industrial complex anymore. It's this subcontracting thing we've gotten into with the military, where we're putting the money in private pockets, in less and less and less. It used to be when it was a military complex, we didn't pay our soldiers great, but we provided for them because all the money went into the military and it still provided for the soldiers. Now we use all these contractors and we funnel 3/4 of our money away to these contractors, and 90% of that money just goes in a pocket, a single pocket, instead of going back to the people doing the work or the soldiers or anybody. So now we've got these soldiers that are being mistreated and not getting care because we're sending all of our money into private pockets.
Well, but at the same time, we've privatized a lot of the war. We don't, when my brother was in the service, serving in Somalia, he worked as a cook. Now we hire companies to do the cooking.
And there's no reason for that.
Right.
People act like having a military that's self-sufficient is somehow a bad thing. The only people that want free market in the military is the free market that stands to benefit from it.
Yes, I agree. But at the same time, yeah, I got nothing on that. Never mind. I was just thinking about I was hungry. It'd be good right now, some shawarma.
I don't want my lieutenant colonel having to answer to a guy in a suit who has a business interest in the theater that they're in at that moment. He should be answering to himself and his direct superiors. He shouldn't be answering to business interests, which I saw way too much of when I was over there.
It's like Game of Thrones bullshit going on over there.
That's like every senator and representative that we have in D.C. They're not doing it for our representation. They're doing it for the representation of the teat that feeds them.
Well, and so that plays right into the question. Then, is this going to be another situation where we can justify those interests and justify that money machine by inserting ourselves into this conflict?
Well, as soon as the media machine kicks in and comes up with some kind of fantastic story to get the majority of people believing that we should be there, the answer will be yes.
But the real
right
question,
now, it's not there.
It'll be a hard sell right now.
When do people like us, average Joes, stand up and say enough's enough? What's going to be the tipping point? When is someone going to say, I disagree emphatically with what we're doing over there, this needs to end, and I still support the troops? Because as soon as you say, I don't agree with the war, you're suddenly labeled as someone who doesn't support the troops.
I don't think so as much, but don't forget, we stopped the Syria thing.
Well, that was an active tactic of Cheney and his cronies. They knew no one was going to support what they were actually doing, so they had to tie it all to, if you don't support the Patriot Act and the profiteerism that you're seeing overseas, then you don't support the soldiers. But it had nothing to do with the soldiers.
But I still think it was a tactic that worked, and it's not something that's gone away.
Yeah, very suddenly, once they latch onto something, do they get rid of it?
Right, like a tick. We're back to ticks again. And if you get a tick the size of a horse...
Because who's really unhappy about this war and doesn't agree with it? The soldiers. The morale in the military is at an all-time low at the end of these wars because people don't want to be a part of this anymore.
I agree.
Big brass saying this was a mistake, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the overwhelming consensus among. Yeah, I mean, the thing about this war or this conflict or this campaign, whatever word you want to fill in the blank with, is the fact that it's so highly recorded. With the iPhones and the GoPros and all these, the video technology that we have. This has been the most recorded conflict in the history of war.
Think about this, Stone Guy. 15 years ago, and all of the years that led up to it, they were able to do stuff without any quote-unquote alternative media, bloggers, entities that they could not control disseminating real world information.
Did you say inseminating?
I did.
It's true though. I mean, but
And
there's always
now-
been eyes on the. Remember in Desert Storm, there was that guy, the reporter, who ended up dying of a blood clot. But he was in. It's all. That's where it really started. Was when they started embedding troops. You know. Yeah.
Well, but the biggest thing is now we're seeing
Embedded
firsthand.
troops are very easy to control. One of the departments that one of my best friends used to work for, basically, that's what they did. And you can very easily control what that embedded reporter sees and what he doesn't. You're in complete control of where he goes and when he goes there. In fact, they preferred embedded reporters to reporters just roaming around because you had far more control over what they saw when they were embedded.
Yeah. That's
Well,
true. I
and
mean, they can hurt them one way or the other.
Right. Well, and that's the thing now is we're seeing so much firsthand, real live footage of situations that aren't necessarily politically correct in a lot of situations where the soldiers are being asked to perform duties or being put in the situation that they're not comfortable with, and granted, yeah, that's what they signed up for to a certain extent, but the bigger picture is when we first invaded. And I hate to use that word invaded. I mean, but
How about we use the word liberated?
I mean, that's what we set out to do, was to liberate these people, was to free them from the Taliban, to free them from the oppression that they were imposed upon. But ultimately, the general consensus of their populace, after the amount of conflicts and the amount of quote unquote friendly fire that occurred to their citizens, was that we invaded them, and it turned them against us. I mean, when we first got there, they were all for it. A year in, we were turning them to the Taliban because they didn't want us there. They didn't want us blowing up their buildings and killing their kids on accident, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all casualties of war or what's that other, the collateral damage, but it turned the people against the Americans, and British for that matter.
There's a line in, I think it's The Dark Knight.
Swear to me. Sorry.
Oh, no. Okay, maybe that one too, but I was going to say, I think Harvey Dent says, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe we just stayed there too damn long.
That's exactly what happened.
And we pissed off way too many people, and now it's like we were over there trying to rebuild their society in what we thought their society should be, modeled after our own, when there's no way in the world it would have worked with their current religious outlook on life and just the cultural differences between them and us. And we didn't reconcile that, and we didn't come up with a system that better benefited them, and we just ended up looking like assholes trying to push our agenda on an entire culture, like an entire region of the world.
You know what's funny though is all the misinformation that's out there. Like I actually had this argument with a guy, and I felt like it was the stupidest argument in the world because it lasted so long. He was like, in Dearborn, Michigan, they have Sharia law down there because it's a Muslim area, and it's like, and I understand what you're saying. They have different beliefs, these countries that we're in, and it's like, but people want to believe certain things, and it's not working. And like you said, we can't change their mindset because they have different. They were born in a different time or a different place. They don't have the same concepts that we have. We look at something and we look at it a certain way. They look at it from a completely different direction. How do we expect to be able to go in there and win hearts and minds when we don't even think alike?
Who knows that an aristocracy or even a monarchy wouldn't work in their culture? If you had a guy who just wasn't completely terrible and a total dictator and just the kind of king that we tried really hard to get rid of, as long as you had a half decent one, who's to say that kind of system wouldn't work in that part of the world?
Well, it works in India. I mean, up until recently, they had the same control. The same family ruled India for I don't know, 60, 70 years. They just recently got someone new in office, but you know, I don't know. That's
Well, look at Saudi Arabia. I mean, or Saudi Arabia was Arabia until the Saudi family took over, and it became Saudi Arabia. You know, I mean, there is a mindset that's just completely alien to us.
Yeah, and they haven't fallen apart yet. Well, like, actually, I don't even think they ever will. Well, I'm sure they will at some point, but you know what I mean.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously the world would be a better place if everybody thought like us. But
Well, the world would be a better place if everybody thought the exact same way, no matter what that train of thought is, because everybody's mind can work everything out in their own way. The only problem is when you have one guy working something out in one way and a different guy working the same thing out in a different way, and both ways will lead to a concrete solution. It's just that they interfere in the process of, and then the two guys fight. If everybody thought the same way, it doesn't matter what way that would be, the world would be a better place. As long as we all thought the same way, no matter what that individual way is.
I would agree with you, except you know, everyone would be spying on each other. You know.
Well, if everybody was paranoid, then nobody would trust anybody else, and nobody'd ever get caught off guard. Holy fucking spider!
What you got one of those giant spiders at your house that we were talking about earlier?
It's close enough. It doesn't matter how fucking big it is. I hate it. I'm gonna kill it. Hold on.
So what's Russia and Israel thinking about all this? I mean, it's going to affect everybody over there.
Oh, Crimea and all that.
I mean, that's just kind of gone away all of a sudden. Everything's kind of.
Well, that's the other part that's supposed to. I'm telling you, man, gas prices are about to fucking skyrocket. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of.
And they keep focusing on the anti-gun agenda here. I don't know. It's.
You know, that's one of the things that really pisses me off too is the whole United Nations, because the Security Council, we can't do anything. You know, we can't do dick because of China and Russia. They're so, you know, they have veto power. They can just sit there and be like, Russia can invade the Ukraine and we can't do anything because when we want to put down, like, we want all the nations of the world to say stand up and do something. Russia goes, nah, veto that. Sorry, we're going to veto. You know, this is where the rules are broken. If you are part of the conflict, you shouldn't get a vote. You know, that's my personal opinion. So it's this kind of stuff internationally. Sometimes we do need to go it alone because of bullshit like China with veto power, Russia with veto power on the United Nations. You know, you can build a coalition through NATO if you needed to, but otherwise it's just ridiculous. And then countries in Europe don't want to do anything because they get most of their gas from Russia. You know, it's all economic again. It's not about doing what's right. It's about doing what is the cheapest, it seems like.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Well, kind of like what we said earlier is I think the whole thing is financially driven all the way around. I mean,
yeah.
I think if the true intentions were, you know, really for the betterment of people or that area.
Everything is driven by corporate profit, and the only thing that they try to do is marginalize the damage to the populace to the point where they don't revolt. They will allow enough damage to the people to the point where they say we can safely do this to maximize profit and still keep them placated enough that we don't have open revolt on our hands. And that's just basically the way it is nowadays.
Right.
Let's give the poor enough money so they don't get mad. Let's give the rich enough tax breaks so they don't get mad. And
it's all based on math and actuarials and making sure that they can cover and still be profitable, even if there's, again, think about some of these companies that have, you know, lawsuits built into their budgets because they know they're going to get sued a certain amount and have to pay out a certain amount of money.
Well, and that's why they also make these ridiculous laws under the guise of tort reform, where they say we're trying to prevent, you know, the abuse of the legal system. No, they're not. What they're trying to do is prevent you from having just recourse against them if they kill your dad at work because they didn't want to pay $80,000 for a new piece of machinery. so they can say, okay, well, we're going to limit every case to 50,000. That way we know we can kill 20 people before it makes it to where we have to buy that new $50 million piece of machinery.
Right.
That way they can figure their budgets better. That's all they're doing. They're not worried about the abuse of the legal system.
So what if they only kill like 15 or like 18 people?
Then they pay them off $10,000 and walk
That's still
away.
coming in like
No
2 to
problem.
5 people underneath their like regimented fatality budget. Like they're still coming in under budget death-wise.
Then they're happy. I mean, they're making a price. It
Someone
goes
gets
back.
a-
It reminds me of Fight Club, you know, where the guys
Hey,
goes around
if a
and
company says we're just going to kill 20 guys, and then like 2, 3, or even 5 people come out alive that they didn't expect, is that not a win for everybody, except for the 15 to 18 people who actually did that?
And I
Yeah.
thought the number one rule of Fight Club was that you didn't talk about Fight Club.
That's also the number 2 rule.
well, you know, the funny thing is Tack Daddy has bitch tits, like Bob.
I'm too old for Fight Club. Is there like a talk really bitchy about you then run away club? That I
I'm just going to start calling you Robert Paulson.
I love this conversation already.
I want to join the say something snarky then walk away club is what I want to join.
I want to just do leering club.
Well, I like the T-shirt you had, Yankee, that said, "I'm too old to fight you. I'm just shoot you."
Yeah, actually a viewer made that for me after I said it in a video. It's got an old
Yankee, I have
song,
to.
I'm way too old to fight you. I'll just shoot you. Don't fuck with me.
Yankee, I watched your all's chat last night. I was working, but I have to say, go for the Vapor. You'll like
Yeah, I'm
it.
thinking about it. I want one.
I've got one. It shoots great.
Shit,
I
I,
want the 308 16.5 inch is what I want.
I fell asleep
That was
after
your wife.
Matt's chat. Yankee, did you do another podcast?
No, I did not. I do one like once a month maybe.
Oh.
I've got so little to say now. I've said everything over the last few years.
Those two on the Chiappa were good, though. I like those.
Oh, the videos I just did?
Yeah.
Yeah, videos are easier to do than podcasts because videos you can just, it's like I'm doing a video right now and I'm filming it a little bit at a time as the day goes on. I don't got to carry a conversation for 20 minutes.
Hey, Yankee, if you've said it all, can you just stop talking then?
I haven't said it all. I haven't said anything worthwhile.
Somebody's got burned.
Yeah, does anybody, what else is going on that's worth talking about?
I didn't get to the second person that I wanted to talk about in the other show,
Oh, go ahead. Go for it. What's up?
which is the bullshit that Hillary was talking this week.
I was going to say, Hillary has come back again.
There's
What,
no
the-
doubt that she's.
What part? The part where we're broke and we left the White House?
Wow. No, the
Guns are
Stuff about
bad.
the stuff about disarming, responsible gun laws, all that dumb shit.
Yeah, we must disarm the populace.
They're catering to their base because they got to build up their run. So politicians, like I say, neither side wants to destroy guns completely, and neither side wants us to give us our rights because it's one of their top 3 divisive topics, and they'll never give that up.
Well, what's the, in all seriousness, what's the likelihood that she will be the Democratic nominee?
I'd say
I'll go out on a limb and say 100%.
I'd say 60. I think someone could still come along and challenge her. No one saw Barack Obama.
Hey,
You know,
I think it's a signed, sealed, delivered. Again, someone can write it down and say that I said it on the 16th or the 19th of. There's no doubt about it. And then all this bullshit of, oh, I'm not saying that I'm going to get back into the whatever. She did some town hall meeting on CNN the other day where she answered every major political question that's out there, every topic, everything. There is zero doubt that she is going to be the candidate.
And she's got her book out right now, too, so I
And
can't
her
shit on it,
husband was
too.
the president already.
The thing that bothered me even more than the stuff about guns, because I know that's just fucking rhetoric, is that whole we were broke when we left the White House shit. I'm like, you obviously have different ideas of what broke is than I do. Because when I was broke, I actually had to, count pennies to go to Taco Bell. I wasn't, buying a mansion in Harlem and setting up a library and stuff. Different ideas with a $400,000 a year income, guaranteed income coming in. So their idea of broke is so out of touch of what broke really is. It makes sense to me.
I don't
Hey,
know.
I have a
How do you
question
cat
for the.
food out of a
Sorry.
can? That's broke.
What's up?
I was gonna say, what has she done politically besides?
Benghazi?
Okay, no. How about what has she done correctly politically besides
Nothing.
not divorce her husband when he had an affair with an intern in the White House?
Well, what
I
did any
did not
politician?
have sexual relations with that woman.
She's a lesbian, so she
But what
doesn't
did
care about the whole thing.
But what did George Bush do before he became governor and president? You know, besides ruin several businesses and
Well, okay,
retard.
before he was governor, I have no idea because I'm not a resident of Texas. But it's like he was in Texas now. Of course, I don't know what he did for or against
Not
Texas.
much. Texas ain't in great shape, so he must not have done much.
Rick Perry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, Texas
But
has one of
still-
the highest unemployment rates, one of the highest poverty rates, one of the lowest education rates, one of the lowest standards of living. So apparently, ain't no governor done much for him for a while.
Well,
Okay,
I also-
but still, you said it yourself. He was the governor of Texas. He was governor of a state for a long time, or like for at least 4 or 5 years, something like that. Yeah, he obviously didn't do a great job, but he didn't do so bad of a job that
She
nobody in
was a
Texas
senator,
voted
she
for
was
him.
Secretary of State. So if just having the job is the criteria, then she had the job.
Well, no,
What
okay,
did we
what
do other than
did she do before she was Secretary of State? She only was Secretary of State because she was married to Bill Clinton.
no,
Well,
she was Secretary of State because she.
let's take a step back. If over the last several administrations, you're not on the same page with me that it really doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. There's an overall agenda that whoever gets into that position goes down the line of the overall agenda versus, again, Democrat versus Republican, left versus right, liberal versus conservative lines that most people adhere to.
Are you saying they only
so-
follow those lines until they get into the seat, and then once they're in the seat, they follow the predetermined agenda that the guy before them was
Well,
following?
they maintain the status quo.
Did you hear what Obama promised?
Oh, I've
you see
seen
what he
stuff
was
in
on this
change?
every single day.
Hope
Did you
and
see what
change.
his contrast was to the evildoers that were in charge of things before that, and then
Yeah,
he got
we
in
still
there.
have Gitmo. We still have everything we had pretty much.
I
there.
have this theory that whoever gets in, it's like they get taken into a room like maybe week one or maybe even before the inauguration, and it's like, all right, and they get shown some footage of Kennedy being shot from an angle that no one's ever seen before, and they say, all right, listen, here's the things your wife can have these pet projects while she's in the office, and you can do these things, but basically,
Is it Cheney shooting Kennedy? Is that what it is?
maybe who knows?
Is it him with his shotgun shooting Kennedy
basically-
right in the face?
But basically, again, if you look at the fact that Obama's, again, king of the drones, continued all the stuff going on overseas, Yankee just mentioned a couple different other things, there is zero difference between him and the Bush before him in terms of what they've done to this world and to this country, in my opinion, allegedly. Yeah, I protect myself there.
And I think they all get in and they maintain their current divides. That's their main goal, is to maintain the current divide, maintain the sideshow, maintain the distraction, so that they can continue to make money for the people that they really work for, and that's about all they do.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Done. Agreed.
So Bill and Hillary are kind of it's a business agreement, I think, more than anything else. Power
I think
couple
they
helping
actually-
each other out.
Well,
They
people
actually
like
refer
talk
to
about-
themselves as
like
Billary
something
LLC.
liberal. He was not a liberal. Bill Clinton was a big business, gung-ho, right down the middle, do what's best for business guy. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, are we going to address the fact that she pretty much ran his presidency? So
No, she did not run the presidency. He ran his own. Bill Clinton was a very strong political figure who had
He's a
very
smart
strong
guy.
ties to the people he supported, and he was
A ladies' man.
one of the strongest people in the party. So.
He was also a ladies'
Presidents
man
have
there.
been banging chicks for a long, long time. He was just the first one to be stupid about it.
And he was president.
And think about if Michael Jordan had grown up in the digital age that we're in now with Twitter and everything. You know how many times he'd be busted for banging chicks?
Yeah.
You mean the way Tiger Woods was?
Well, Tiger just got in right on that leading edge as well.
Poor Tiger. I mean,
He didn't get busted by technology, though. He got busted by a driver being thrown
Yes.
through his back windshield.
Because
Yeah,
that 9-iron for
Or
sure.
multi-millionaire that has never had a job.
Poor Tiger.
I know he goes home and cries in fistfuls of money every night.
And then he takes out his putter and a glass and nails
Puts the
40
money
yards.
into the hole.
Yeah, he brought an all-new meeting to ATM. You're gonna have to Google that.
It's like at Major League Sports. That's another thing. That's another one of the distractions. People wonder why corporate sponsors pour so much money into Major League Sports. It's because if we didn't have sports in this country, people might actually pay attention to what's going on more.
Yep.
Oh, come on now, Yankee. That's giving the average American a little too much credit, in my opinion.
You know what
Now,
pisses
people
me off
more
about
pay attention.
you know what
They
pisses
would
me off
just
about
pay
major
attention to
sports?
local sports. That's all.
The average American is again too busy making sure that they get their payments made for all the things that they've taken on that they can't truly afford. And
It's
so
like
that-
George Carlin said, and I used this quote in a video recently. Just remember how stupid that the average American is. And then remember that half of the people in the country are dumber than that.
Yeah, but the other half are smarter. That's the other part of that idea. The other half are just as smart as the dumb half are dumb. That's why.
No. Parenting and the fact that dumb assholes have been breeding, creating more dumb assholes, is a huge problem in this country.
Yeah, look at every couple that
I'll
you
admit.
know that are master's degree or higher. You know, two people that are married that are master's degree or higher. They usually have
No
one, maybe two, or 0 kids. Now look at the asshole that never graduated high school that works at a car wash. He's probably got 8 kids. That
Shit, isn't Honey Boo Boo pregnant now?
It's
So-
my child. I'll admit it.
I mean, we're a 2 master's degree family, and we got 2 kids.
Yeah, same here. We
Thank
got
you for
3.
contributing.
You're welcome.
But Yankee, if anything, you guys are actually ahead of the curve and should be counted as 4 since they're adopted, right?
They're adopted, yeah, so it doesn't really even count.
Well, that just means that you have 2 kids who are raised by master's degrees holders, and they aren't being raised by people who work at a car wash.
No, their parents weren't even that high quality. Their birth parents.
You're not making my case any less relevant. If anything, it should count more because of that.
Yeah.
It's not just
But we
like
didn't
I have
reproduce.
1, you lost 0. It's like -1 on their side and +1.
Yeah, but we didn't reproduce. We didn't reproduce. Our genes, those, get a degree and be reasonably intelligent genes didn't get passed on.
Oh,
Now,
I don't
luckily,
think
our
those are
kids are
genes.
smart.
I think
but-
those are behaviors, not genes.
Genes are one
Well,
thing, but
partially.
parenting those genes to fruition is another thing. And
It's
the
partial.
lack of
Yeah, I mean, there's
parenting,
some
the lack
kids
of-
that, I know dumb kids. I know dumb kids that have been born to smart people. It's like my son will sometimes say something. What do you think I'm dumb? I'm like, no, I know dumb kids. You're not dumb. You're just lazy. Because there are dumb kids. They're just like there's dumb people.
Yeah.
It's
And
like what
they
always
relish
say,
in being dumb.
It's like they always say, with age comes wisdom. I'm like, no, with experience and learning from experience comes wisdom. With age comes senility. If someone is a fucking moron at 25, the only difference they'll have at 60 is they'll be a wrinkled fucking moron.
And their balls will hang really low.
Yeah.
You're 60, right?
35.
But all right, going back to the whole, I know we're talking about pro sports here. You know what bugs me about? Something bugs me about everything, but pro sports. The fact that if I was a player, I couldn't say anything bad about the refs without getting fined or the league. That's kind of messed up. Don't you guys agree?
Really?
Yeah, you can't complain. You can't, as a player or a coach, you cannot complain about the league or a ref, and if you do, you'll get fined for it.
See, I could see not complaining about the league. That's like me not complaining about the place I work for.
Yeah, the league is paying you millions of dollars. You need to keep your.
No, the
fucking-
owners are paying you millions of dollars. Your talent is paying you millions
Well,
of
actually,
dollars.
the taxpayers more often than not are paying you millions of dollars. If people paid attention to how many taxpayer dollars went into local sports teams,
Yeah. So I mean,
I believe
okay.
it.
All right. So fine. Let's say you can't talk, but you can't say anything bad about the refs either. Like,
That's ridiculous.
yeah, if they missed a call, you can't say anything, or you'll get fined $5,000, $10,000. Ever watch?
I mean, there's a reason for it. They can't just have every call being a fight on the field.
Yeah,
or
but
on the
I mean,
court.
but if you watch it on like the after the game, and the coaches are sitting down there, and they're like, "Well, what do you think of this?" And the coach is like, can't really say anything. It's like, but it goes kind of like to our branch of military, our military servicemen and women. They can't go on camera in uniform and be disparaging towards political views because the government is their boss, kind of thing. You can't be honest anymore. You have to hold your tongue. I think that's kind of messed up as well.
But wasn't it all of the military people, back to the other topic, wasn't it all the military people holding up signs saying, I didn't sign up for the military to fight this war in Syria that stopped? Wasn't that a big part of the reason that they stopped that invasion? Not to mention we've got,
the whole, obviously everyone was realizing they were saying the same shit that they did to get into Iraq the first time.
Yeah, but a lot of the people signed up for the military so that they could get free college education and they could get like a lot of experience working in like the dental field.
Right. Well, we're getting a
Just
lot
for
of
a couple of years of doing it in a sand environment. It's like at that point you didn't sign up for anything that was real. So I don't have any sympathy for you anymore.
Yeah. Well, on a happier note, the Yankee Marshall screen seems to have frozen up. No, I'm just kidding. I see you moving.
Oh man, you ruined my nuts.
He's watching dolphin porn.
Just dolphin videos from Japan.
I was watching music videos earlier when you all were talking, so
What kind of music does a Yankee Marshal listen to?
I was actually watching that Call Me Maybe thing where the cheerleaders did the one video, and then on the other split screen it's the soldiers in Afghanistan. I believe it
Holy
is.
shit! 2013 called Yankee. They want their video back. Are you kidding me?
Well, this is a relatively new video. This isn't that old.
No.
A year?
So I'll talk about
In
senile.
internet years, it's 10 years old.
Exactly.
At least it wasn't another version of Frozen. I think we've had about 100 versions of that now. So.
My
Let's
son
not even-
loves that song.
yeah.
My 10-year-old loves that song.
Oh,
I had to go to a
we-
showing the other night. They had a movie night at the school where the parents come to the school and they play a movie on the wall in the gymnasium, and it was us and hundreds of little grade school kids. And seeing the movie Frozen once was okay. I liked it, but seeing it again while watching hundreds of kids recite every word of the movie with it while you went along and sing every song, that was a different experience.
Lost its effect, huh?
It's no longer magical.
No more CGI.
Well, it was sort of cool in a way that all these little kids knew this, but then in a way it was also like, boy, talk about indoctrination.
Right? I like the movie, though. I'll be honest. I thought it was a good movie.
I liked it. It was okay.
Hey Yankee, I have a question.
Too, but
What was the average age of these kids again?
they're all grade school kids, mostly like 1st through 5th grade.
Okay, the third, fourth, and fifth graders maybe, but like, have you ever seen like a 3, 4, 5-year-old kid that doesn't do well, okay, not always do exactly like what you tell them to, but like unless they're really mad and they just want to get back at you. Have you ever seen like a 5-year-old kid who doesn't say exactly what you want to? Like you'll hand the phone to them and say, "Grandma's on the line." "Oh, hi, Grandma." Like,
Oh, I've actually had the opposite experience. I found that little kids have very little censor of what they say.
That's true.
well, okay, yeah, they may say whatever they want to, but like if you tell them to say something and they're not actively trying to spite you, they'll just go along with it. But they don't know any difference.
That's what you mean. Are they going to rationalize it and analyze this position? No, they're not going to do that.
So yeah, you may call that doctrinization, but it's like that's literally one of the only forms of expression they have is just imitation. They don't have the ability to wait. Why are we all singing this? Why are we all saying the exact same words at the exact same time? I don't know if I want to do this anymore. It's hey, it's that song I know, and I know the words, so I'm going to say them out loud, and then
I know my son knows the words because he takes. I pay for singing lessons every week, and that's one of the songs he sings. So
Your son sings?
yeah, he takes voice lessons every Sunday.
That's cool.
Oh, that's very progressive of you. My
He
son
likes-
plays baseball.
He likes to sing, so I let him sing. He's also a good quarterback. I don't think the two things are mutually exclusive.
No, I'm just messing with you, man. They're not.
As long as he doesn't do show tunes while he's dropping back into his 7-foot drop backs.
I don't care if he sung show tunes while he's doing it. As far as I'm concerned, I'd rather he sing show tunes than play sports. I don't want to see him get hurt.
You think singing and dancing is really unmanly until you go to college and you join a fraternity, and then like a large group of the guys there are actively involved in the what they call shows. It's like coordination, like singing and
He
dancing.
may
It's
have
like
joined
10
the
to
gay
12.
fraternity.
It's kind of like rugby. You sing a lot. You sing drinking songs, and
Actually, I think that he just accidentally joined a gay fraternity.
Well,
Yeah.
that may have been. There's a lot of people running around without their shirts on.
grab a dick.
Oh,
It
for
was,
God.
what was the
Oh, that's funny.
Not the Phi Delts. It wasn't Pi Kappa. It was.
What stereotype are you trying to match up with letters? I can probably help you out.
No, we had a gay fraternity on our campus actually. It was, like had a lot of. Wasn't a gay fraternity, but it had a high gay population in the fraternity. But I can't
Oh, we
remember.
always made fun of the betas for being gay.
I
It's
can't
like
remember who it
we
was.
would always drive by the houses, look for the girls coming out of the fraternities doing the walk of shame on Saturday mornings. And I would always make the joke, I always see more guys walking out of the beta house than girls walking out of any other one.
I was in
I
a
was
fraternity.
we had the Pi Caps, we had the Pikes, we had the Alpha Chi's, we had the
Alpha
I
Chi
pledged
isn't a
my
fraternity.
my freshman year, and the one thing I
Dells.
remember about the sororities was they had a New Jersey sorority that was like the typical New Jersey girls.
Guidos?
One of the fraternities ended up filming like an orgy where there was like 4 or 5 of the girls from the sorority, and they were all in this one room, and they did everything. And it was before the internet. I mean, it was really before the internet. You're talking 1992, 91, 92, and they ended up leaving campus and everything. But everyone had seen the video. It definitely got around.
There was one girl, like,
I'll take a copy of that, Tack.
When the girl grabbed the
Yeah, I
milk
would too.
bottle and took care of herself, I mean,
hey, can you just put a link to that in the internal?
Tack Daddy's got hard floppy disk copies.
They weren't floppy after a while, I'll tell you that. Started out floppy disks.
Oh man. Well, we've been going about an hour, so I don't know if anybody.
Alpha Sigma Phi. That was the gay fraternity when I was in Marshall.
Oh,
That's amazing. So that was what, like 40 years ago? So,
80
wait, what college did you go to, just out of curiosity?
Barber.
Barber. Is that like Brown?
No, I went to a lot of colleges actually because I started my career at one college, but then I did a lot of correspondence courses while I was active duty, and then finished back up right where I started. So
Okay.
we could serve lobster craws. What the fuck are lobster craws?
You've never had them?
Lobster claws.
Yeah.
that's like I used to work at Red
From
Lobster.
Revenge of the Nerds, sorry.
I used to work at a Red Lobster in Huntsville, Alabama, and it was all the black ladies would call the shrimp skewers scrimp screwers.
Did you seafood differently?
Come in, they want shrimp screwers and water with lemon.
What did you do there? Were you a cook? What was your job? Were you a dishwasher or a cook?
No, I was a waiter.
A waiter.
It was good extra money on the weekends. You can make.
I don't think you're allowed to be called a waiter. I think you were a server. I think there's a difference.
I call it a waiter. They call them
waitress.
waiter. But it's just
That was
it's
before-
a couple $100 on the weekends. You know, you're in the military. You don't make a lot of money. You can make some extra money.
You got to remember that was back a long time ago before the PC crowd changed waiters to servers.
No, they were still called servers. We had server numbers and everything, but I'll still call it a waiter.
And the flight attendants.
Oh God. Sanitation technician.
I don't think that's a flight attendant, bro. That's definitely something else. I don't know what
You're a janitor, and you're not a fucking sanitation technician. You're
You know, the guy who lived across the street from us when I was a kid was the janitor at my grade school, and we always just called him the janitor. He called himself the janitor. I don't know when that changed.
That's what we still called him, and that wasn't too long ago when I was in high school.
Yeah, I got
Everyone
nothing
likes
else.
to have a title nowadays. I don't know why, but
My title is Sir Mix-a-Lot.
my title is unemployed, and I like it.
Huh.
nice.
Technically unemployed. Not completely, but technically.
Do you
Retired.
do you file for unemployment benefits?
No.
That
I
you're
don't think I've ever gotten unemployment in my life. And I've been lots of times I've been unemployed, but I don't think I ever was unemployed long enough to actually get benefits.
But you have to file for that, don't you? They don't just like send you a letter in the mail. Oh, hey, it looks like you haven't had a job in a couple of weeks.
No,
Right.
you got to go apply for it. But I usually just, you know, if I left one job, I mean, I've been fired from a couple of jobs in my life. I'm not going to pretend. I've gotten mouthy with a couple supervisors and gotten fired, but I usually didn't have any trouble finding another job.
Better to die on your feet than live on your knees.
That's what she said.
And plus, when I worked in social services, you could get fired one place, get a job somewhere else. I mean, there were, you know, not a lot of people with master's degrees willing to work for $12 an hour, so you're in high demand.
Hey,
You're
Tom,
high. I demand it.
The demand to be high.
I do.
Well,
I
there's a
do.
lot of jobs that they're literally at the time that I was working, like not. And this is not like 100 years ago. This was like 1996 at Willamette Bridge Programs in Portland, Oregon. There were jobs that you had to have a master's degree or higher. You either had to have a bachelor's degree with 5 years of experience or a master's degree or higher to do the job, and it paid like $12.85 an hour.
That's ridiculous. My wife's a social worker, and she just gets. It's just ridiculous. She paid more for her education than she gets paid. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I saw something
Like,
the
I
other
thought
day.
about one point looking about, go back and get my doctorate. Would it be worth it? But what I would get paid if I stayed in social work, which I'd rather die than stay in social work, what I would get paid for getting my doctorate and getting a doctorate level position, if I continued to work till I was 72, I would pretty much break even on my education.
What's the thing that the students are carrying right now that said something like, I borrowed $24,000, I paid back $38,000, I still owe $50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've been deferring my student loans since I got out of college 10 years ago. Because I mean, it's just.
I got one that's in default. Well, it's not in default. It's in dispute now, but they keep putting it into default because when I went overseas, I didn't make any payments on any of my loans when I was overseas because I don't have to. It's the whole Soldiers and Sailors Act. You don't pay interest and payments on your student loans while you're active duty overseas. Well, they would charge me all these penalties and everything for the whole time I'm overseas, and I would always dispute it, and they would assign me a caseworker and say, okay, well, we'll work on it. You won't hear nothing from them for like 2 years, and you'll call them back and say, listen, I was given a caseworker 2 years ago. And they're like, oh, well, that person doesn't work here anymore. Let's get you another caseworker, and it just keeps going through that again and again and again.
Totally.
They're so disorganized. They can't even find. Like I had our lawyer request my original paperwork for the amount they're saying I owe on that loan. They couldn't produce it. They had
Well,
no way.
they sell the loans all the time too. It's like goes from one person to another to another.
Yep. They had no way of producing it. They could not find any actual original documentation.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't have your lawyer say, if you don't have original documentation, how do we even know that this loan exists?
Unfortunately, they're in a situation where they basically just have to say it, and it's up to you to prove it's not true. They don't have to prove it's true.
Okay.
It's the government, man.
The credit organization that was set up where people think it was set up to protect the consumer, it wasn't. It was set up to protect the consumer or the producer because all they got to do is say you owe something and you owe it. They can put it on your credit whether you owe it or not. Then it's up to you to prove
Wait. Who is this?
The whole Consumer Protection Agency. It's all that whole your credit rating and stuff is not to help you; it's to help them.
Oh, I've never thought that was that was there to help me. That was just a number to allow other companies to compare it. Well, should we give this guy money? Is he likely to pay it back? If he is, give him a higher number.
I mean, all the laws that are written around it aren't written in any way to protect you. They're written to protect the person that is owed money, not the person that is supposedly owing it.
Okay, so in your opinion, how good of an idea is it to try and never borrow money? And if you have the option, now obviously buying a $100,000 home when you're like 25 isn't an option, but like besides that, to buy everything you can in cash.
You have to maintain a certain level of credit rating if you ever want to have that option. But like us currently, the only thing we owe any credit on is our home. I mean, our cars are paid for. We don't have a credit card, so.
Oh, and beyond that too. I mean, you pay your bills. You on time. It's part of your credit rating.
Yeah.
So, they keep tabs on that as well.
But there's still stuff on my credit rating even. There is lost a checkbook back in 1997. It just disappeared, out of our car at a parking lot somewhere. Reported it stolen, called our bank, canceled all the checks. Did have some little Mexican guys show up on my lawn one day with a bad check that someone had written for them for a car from it. They got out of their car like they were going to kick my ass or something. All 4 of them that are like 5'2" each. As I get in the car, they're waiting for me on my.
That's racist.
And no, it's just the fact that I got out of my car and they changed their tune real quick when they realized I was a lot bigger than they were. But they're like, you
Is
wrote
that
us
the story where you used your 686, the stainless steel revolver?
Like,
Is
you
that
wrote
the
us a
story?
check for a car and you get bounced. And I'm like, I didn't write you that check. Did I write you that check? They're like, well, no, not you, but someone for you wrote it. I was like, no, someone scammed you, and that's not my problem. So,
All right.
yeah. Away. But the same people used that checkbook to open a AirTouch cellular cell phone account. And they have said for years that we owe them $102. And every time I'm like, I have never had an account with you. You don't have any address I've ever had, blah, blah, blah. And it said on the original paperwork when they actually were forced to produce it once, it was one of those mall kiosks. Remember how they used to have the cell phone kiosks at the mall? It said, checkbook used as ID. Right on the paper. And we had police reports saying that the checkbook was stolen before that. But still, even though we proved it wasn't our debt, every 5 or 6 years it reappears on my credit. And I have to go through the trouble getting it taken off again.
Call up Dave Ramsey, see what he has to say about that.
Oh, Lord. Well, guys, I'm going to shut it off here. Been a little over an hour. It's getting away from me.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, I appreciate you coming on. It was great.
Good group of guys here. Everyone but Tack Daddy seemed really cool.
Yeah, he's kind of short but special. We let him in because we feel sorry for him.
I can't believe you guys make fun of me like this. It hurts.
Well, you know what's a nice thing for you, man? Even the short bus is big for you. You know what I mean?
It's all relative. That's what I was saying. It's all relative. To him, he thinks he's riding a normal size bus to school.
I'll just get on here because I'm a fanboy of all of you, so
Well, anyway, yeah. I appreciate everybody tuning in and participating this evening. So we'll check you next time.
Sub my channel.